Okay, Lauren says, so why, after cheating, lying, name calling, drug abuse, I still find myself thinking of him nearly every day. I'm starting to feel as though I'm unhealthy, abnormal, even obsessed. I told him that I didn't wish to remain friends, and we have had no contact since, but I still find myself thinking a lot. I understand that there's no clear-cut answer, but I just feel very unusual and very strange. So, yes, a lot of these relationships. So if we're feeling starved out in some area, right? If we have this empty bucket or a low bucket, and again, I use the example in my life where I was walking around with the low bucket of, I'd felt very unimportant and unloved for a very long time. I did not realize this. Okay. So that those feelings were magnified, especially after my divorce. So when Jack came along and like I just said, like here he is telling me, oh, as you wish. And he's being so over the top and it's just that he's making me feel so important and so loved and so appreciated. And he's just everything I could have ever wanted in a man. I was just drinking that up because eating it up. I was so starved out, right? And I didn't see it as problematic. I felt it, but I didn't acknowledge it. And so oftentimes in these relationships, they manufacture these emotions, right? So the highs are really high, the lows are really low. Desert Flower's talking about trauma bonding. Yes. And Desert Flower also mentions, he will hoover you, fortify the gates. Yes, yes, yes. So preparing yourself, always, always, always. Emotional manipulators, they tend to do what's called hoovering, which is kind of, they circle around and then they will come back with these false promises of, flowery over the top things and future faking. And it's this everything you want to hear and talking about if they've never felt this way about anybody before and a family and, you're the one for them and they'll do anything to make this work. And, blah, blah, blah. And it's so easy to get sucked into that. So keeping your emotional guard up forever, because they can circle around, a month, a year, 10 years, 50 years later. They often do come back. Don't let this rattle you. Don't let it derail you. Just anticipate it. So if and when it does happen, you're like, oh, I was not expecting that, but I was expecting that. So you're not getting sucked into it again. You're like, okay, that's a Hoover. I'm not falling for it again. And yeah, so it's, you feel this level of intensity. My guess is because everything that we do, everything that we feel generally it's filling some sort of need. So if he was filling this need in your life, if he was making, because generally the sex is amazing, the connection is amazing. It feels like we've really met our soulmate. And so when you're feeling this level of connection, you're talking, love is the strongest human bond there is. So if we're bonding to this person, not just a person, but somebody that we think is our soulmate, that bond is deep and it's chemical too. So there's a lot of like oxytocin and dopamine and all these chemicals that are going on that are cementing this bond. And when it's hard for, for a bond to break. And so for them, it's all smoke and mirrors. None of it's real. But for us, it's very real. So we were buying into the romance and the promises and all of it. And so we're still hooked in. And so, it's this whole like intermittent reinforcement thing that goes on where if things, they get out of our life and then we don't hear from them, right? We become crazy. We become obsessive. We become where we're checking our phone, where we're stalking them on social media. We've never been like this before. And then we finally hear from them. And it's like this sense of relief, right? Like, oh, okay. Like, that was okay. We're going to be okay. And they're still in my life. And it's, they manufacture this crazy neediness in people. They they give you everything that you want and then they pull it away. So it's just these ups and downs.
Lots of love to you guys. You are not alone. You are not crazy, and you really can move forward and heal from this.